Hey everybody, welcome back to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal slowbeef. With me, of course, my good friend and Arcade Pit co-champion, Jim.
Hey everybody. We did win.
My good friend Turbo.
Hello.
Good friend Devious Vacuum.
What's up, gamers?
Good friend pullahoko.
I haven't won any awards lately, but I do like games.
I hope you have another round on Arcade Pit before this goes out and you lose.
just really badly.
Just awfully. So that people forget the first one.
I am going on again, but you know.
No, I hope you do good.
Not me.
This is a good theme for this episode, because now we're getting a little competitive.
It really is, yeah.
It is. We're just getting right into it.
Yeah. Totally. So, we're going with Brian, huh?
Yeah, we did Brian. We did Brian's route. Brian is the slightly competitive neighbor of ours who, his house is a little bit nicer than ours. His daughter is is very smart and overachiever for her age and all that stuff. And we feel like Brian's always trying to one-up us, no matter what. That guy. So what dads did you make this time? Any notable dads?
Absolutely none. Next question.
I just made one that I tried to make look like a supervillain. I don't know. I guess supervillains have green hair. I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sure. That's how you tell them. That's how you tell.
He's like a supervillain, and the power of the supervillain is that he has a tech startup.
Yeah.
Wait, who has a tech startup?
This supervillain, Baron Von Doom.
My supervillain dad.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, that's definitely it. And D-Vac, yours looks like young Austin Walker.
No, how dare you? My dad looks like sort of an amalgam of Richard Ayoade and Hari Kondabolu.
Oh yeah, you got a lot of him.
He looks like he's got the egg shirt, and he looks like competitive and insecure. Like, so that's why I was kind of like, oh, he should look kind of like a comedian.
Oh yeah.
The biggest own on comedians.
He was actually he was perfect. He's the perfect dad for this. I named him Jamil Krudnick. Well, my friend Beep Splash named him Jamil Krudnick for me.
I just randomly went with different dad parts and then tried to fit the name to it, and so I named my dad Fester O'Quest because he came out bald and he looks like an evil he's got a Fester smile, not truly evil but a little bit evil.
Yeah, he's like opposite Fester, where he's got like the tan and like the fun shirt and the sunglasses.
Yes, he's like Fester, like if he went to the beach.
He's also like Dr. Robotnik's gay cousin.
Oh my god, yes. He absolutely is. Oh man, now he gets added to the fiction along with his daughter.
Hey, cuz, you putting animals in the robots again? Is that a thing you still do?
It's like calling from his penthouse in Palm Springs, just like, what are you up to these days?
Oh my god, yes.
Still chasing that hedgehog, huh? Well, you'll get him someday.
Hey, Ivo, you know that new kind of robot you've been looking for? Well, listen to this.
God, you know it's a good podcast when you already created in-universe Sonic OC?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it only took us this many seasons. I was going to say how many seasons it was, but I forgot.
Finally, we've reached the pinnacle, the entire reason we've been doing this.
Well, not yet. Tune in next time for our Sonic fanfic. We'll get that one down, too.
Also, props for Jim creating a Sonic OC that isn't an animal. I think that's the first time that's happened.
Like in history recorded.
Well, no, there was the where they read in Sonic Mania, the sprite was upside down and they read it as like a little girl.
Yeah, the little girl that just is the best.
Mm-hmm.
Omelet or something is what they're calling her?
Yeah. Some people call her that, yeah.
Alright, who else? Turbo, tell us about your dad.
So mine, I realized, all of my characters so far were white, so I tried making a dad of color. Or I think most of them were white. But anyways, so I started going through that, and by the time I got to the hair, I'm like, this is reminding me very much of an anime character that I like.
Amazing.
It's really good.
For any of you that have watched Tiger and Bunny, the character Fire Emblem, which is also a great name, with real name Nathan Seymour, I tried to make him.
I like it. It's real good.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite dad that I've made so far.
He's a good dad. Alright, Slowbeef, tell us about your dad.
I don't have too much to say. I again streamed. I again did random numbers and what chat wanted. But I named my dad Swoony Bard, which
Swoony Bard looks like a retired extreme sports person, like a retired X Games participant.
I could see that.
Or like a coach.
Like Terry Crews got skinny.
Yeah, I could see that.
He looks like he wants to be on Jackass, but he couldn't quite make the cut.
They're very selective at Jackass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That's the one thing I've always heard about them.
Very tough. Their quality bar is way too high. They won't do just anything.
Enough fucking around here. Let's talk about banging this hot dad.
Right.
Okay.
So we should talk about the most important thing about this is that we finally win the Pokemon game. If you haven't won it before, the guides tell you how to win it. So let's talk about winning the Pokemon battle with Brian in the park, where we out-brag him about our daughter. And nothing in particular really happens other than we're like, does he have to be such a gracious loser? Which is almost the same as what happens when he wins, where we say, does he have to be such a gracious winner? So I feel like we won, but we didn't really win.
Did you ever try to flee the game?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I did that on other routes.
Yeah, because I forget exactly what Brian says, but your dad is like, oh no, even his cowardice is better than mine.
Oh yeah, he says something like, "What are we doing, putting our kids up on pedestals like this? This is ridiculous."
Yeah, something like that, right?
So the two items that you have to use to basically win the Pokemon battle are some art that apparently you kept around that Amanda made as a child, which she thinks is really sweet because she wants to be a photographer. And then a grade card where she got all straight A's or A pluses or the highest marks. And then Brian makes some comment of you carry that around with you all the time? And then you actually lose a little bit of the health that you just regained because you're like, yeah, that is kind of weird. Carry around a report card.
Yeah.
So, regardless of whether you win the confrontation, it doesn't seem to get you any points either way or anything like that. Just you can win in the very specific set of circumstances.
Honestly, it's more different. It's just different dialogue. It's not even an achievement.
The confrontation.
One thing though is you only need one item, which is the artwork. If you do that and you just keep bragging, you pretty much win by default, meaning you'll win with 5 HP left.
Yeah, I think that's how I did it when I first did my first win.
I just copied turbo method, as I call it.
Yeah. I remember you called me up on the phone and you were asking how to do it in a panic.
I can't do it. I need your help.
Is there an achievement?
Got those hot strats.
Is there an achievement for this? I didn't even look.
No, but there are this route probably has the most amount of achievements that you can get.
Of course it does, though, right?
Yeah, I think there's 3. Yep.
It's got the most amount of games too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent an hour and a half on one. Anyway, so...
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yep.
So more of the prologue. The other main point about Brian is, well, he has a 10-year-old daughter named Daisy, and a corgi named Maxwell. Daisy's kind of like a too serious little kid. She is really smart and kind of, I don't know, she's one of those, the kids that goes through that phase where it's like, that's not real kind of thing, and she's,
right,
and,
yeah.
But Amanda really likes her, and likes sort of teaching her how to play pretend and how to, like, relax a little bit, and so she gets along really well with Daisy. And at the barbecue, Brian's like, oh, we should, like, set them up for a play date. And, like, that's weird because that's not how you talk about an 18-year-old and a 10-year-old hanging out, right? Like,
yeah.
An 18-year-old hanging out with a 10-year-old is like, do you want to babysit my daughter? Right? Like Amanda would be the babysitter. Like, it's not like, oh, let's have them, like, hang out and be friends.
You just wouldn't say that. You wouldn't set up an 18-year-old for a play date for anything at all? Like, that wouldn't be something you could do?
Yeah. And you could pitch it more like that Daisy really, really, really likes it, like, really admires Amanda. And then, like, you know, he's like, oh, can Amanda come over? You know, can you guys come over? Because, like, Daisy really admires Amanda. And then Amanda kind of being like, oh, isn't that cute? Like, sure. But they kind of put it more like Amanda and Daisy are, like, friends. Like, they just become friends, and I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. 18 and 10 is very different.
Yeah, and that was kind of weird at the party that Amanda's first instinct was to go to, let's go with imaginary play for this 5th grader to have fun together. I don't know. If I was 18, I wouldn't really think that as my first choice, but
I could see it more like they're not, like, friends as in peers, but that, Amanda, I'm suddenly blanking now, just on Brian's daughter's name, even though we just said it. Daisy, thank you.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
I'm imagining, like, Amanda would like Daisy, or likes to play with Daisy, or, like, but, like, not, like, friends where, like, you know what I mean? That part's odd. Like, I could see them, like, if you and Brian hung out organically, Amanda would be like, oh, cool, Daisy will be there. I like Daisy. Or vice versa. You know, that kind of thing. But not quite like, let's go hang out. I want to go hang out with Daisy.
And Amanda mentions later, like, she likes being the cool older kid to Daisy, and she, like, remembers being little and, like, thinking older kids were so cool. But yeah, they're not peers. It's, like, Amanda obviously enjoys, like, being a mentor figure to Daisy, and that's very believable, but, like, them, like, being like, oh, we're friends, we're gonna hang out, is, like, a weird way of putting it, and I don't think that's how people would put it in real life.
No.
So, our first date with Brian is that, we should talk about, like, his dad book. His dad book talks about fishing and, being outdoors. I don't remember if there's that much else.
Let's see. What are your turn-ons? A keen understanding of steak cuts. What did you want to be when you grow up? Fireman.
Of course. That's very sweet. And I think it's interesting you don't quite get it right away, but, like, Daisy, like, Brian's not, also a genius like his daughter is. He's just a guy. And I really like that part of their relationship. It's very sweet. So Brian invites us out to play mini golf with him and Daisy, and which seems, again, like a really good thing to do with, you know, an 18-year-old and a 10-year-old. And we're like, oh, great, I'll destroy them at mini golf. Like, I'll do this. We'll definitely win. Like, Amanda, we've been honing our skills for all this time.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Brian's kid has already had some training with playing with Mario and Luigi in that game. Also, congrats on her for getting into Smash.
Oh my god.
The internet is one again.
It's true, I'm very happy that Daisy's in Smash. Finally, the real Daisy. Okay, so
hey, I have a joke. Daisy Ridley is gonna be in Smash because their name's in the actress.
Huh. I haven't heard that one yet.
I know!
Yeah, that's a good one. Good job there.
Wow.
Yeah! I I just need to find a picture of Daisy Ridley and tweet that. There it is.
Wow.
Send tweet.
We could pretend that we recorded this, like, right after that press conference, so that joke is, like, actually fresh.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. I know.
Nobody knows.
Most important element of comedy, timing.
Would you say most or least?
Oh, it's the most important.
Oh, most.
Yes. I mean, like, the one thing you know is that Mike Huckabee's bad at timing.
Oh my god.
It's right behind repetition in there.
So every time Brian, like, I mean, Brian tries to one this. It sounds like he's trying to one up us whenever we're talking to him. In that, like, I don't get it as more like that he's trying to be rude, but it's more like the way that he talks is just like, oh, I have that too. Like, where he's just like trying to get to tell you information, but the way that he phrases it is always like a little bit like, look how great I am. And we are taking it personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like in other routes, it is more on him. Because even like little things like at the barbecue and stuff, and it's not like, it's nothing bad. It's just like, I always got the impression he's one of those guys, you know? And, like, that could be fun, too.
Yeah, it's annoying, but not unforgivable.
Right. But in this route, I feel like it's way more on us.
Definitely.
Yeah.
In fact, this is the first route where I feel like our character was learning more than the other dad, unless I'm forgetting something.
No, that's definitely what it is. Like, it almost feels like our character is... It's like a different character, almost. Like, we've just, for some reason, developed this really hyper-competitive personality trait out of nowhere.
Move over, Dad. It's my turn to grow. So mini golf, right, is the hardest mini game in Dream Daddy. It's a little sloppy and broken, but I don't think that's bad, which sounds weird, but, like, I feel like a more complete or normal golf game would have been totally inappropriate for Dream Daddy and would have taken way too long, you know? So, you get a little physics engine, you get, like, little, like, things to do bank shots. Your shot basically, like, where you're shooting from, just rotates really fast, and you gotta click or hit the space bar at the right time to bounce your ball, which is fired at full force. And the only difference to that is there is a timer, and when the timer runs out, the force meter, which is always at max, very quickly drops to 0. If you wanted to time a shot, you actually kind of couldn't do it, because in the one hole where timing matters, it's a little, like, your shot doesn't always start from the same place. It's either all the way left, all the way right, or whatever. So you couldn't even use that to your advantage if you wanted to. Your object is to just bank it into the hole. The game is super forgiving. If your ball touches the hole at any speed or any time, it's instant hole-in-one. And unfortunately, our dad, again bragging to Brian, has lied and said he has hit 18 holes-in-ones on this golf course.
So not only are we, like, allowing Brian to sort of get our goat with this whole one-upmanship thing, we are overcompensating by lying. Which is a little intense. Like, definitely the dad in this route is, like, a different kind of guy. Like, he's, got a lot more... He wears his insecurity on his sleeve a lot more than in the other routes.
I don't really like this dad.
No, he's really immature, whereas every other route, it's like mature dad. Like, he's not perfect, but he's definitely like, oh, you know, I've been through this. I've gotten past a lot of the sort of the bullshit of being a younger guy. I'm an old, you know, sort of established with myself person. And, yeah, that is not this dad at all. This is definitely like, this dad immediately transitions to like being like, yeah.
Like, this dad is incredibly petty.
Yeah.
The other dads are like quirky in their own ways. Like, I like music and other stuff, and this one's like, I'm a jerk.
Yeah, and Amanda's even like a little like, all right, Dad, knock it off, kind of with us.
She fucks up a hole on purpose because we're being too intense, and so and we do say, like, thank you for doing that. Like, I thank you for helping me with this, which is good, but she does blow a hole on purpose so that our score goes up, so that we don't get too competitive.
So I feel like I feel like the way I'm kind of reading this too is our dad maybe knows in his head that it's not right to act this way, but is getting caught up in the heat of the moment, and it doesn't take much to get him there.
And also, Brian wants to gamble on the golf thing.
Yeah.
We're getting so competitive, and so is he. He's like, let's gamble. Loser has to mow the winner's lawn this weekend.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty tame thing to bet. It's a pretty tame, pretty friendly thing if you must be like that.
Yeah, that one is a very tame bet.
So, I didn't lose. I won the bet, for the record. And there is an achievement for getting all 18 holes. I can tell you a lot about this, because I was expecting to stream all of Brian's route last night, and that didn't happen for me because I got obsessed with trying to get the achievement. I got 17 out of 18, but this is really effing hard to do. Oh, I should mention one other thing I didn't mention at the minigame. You only get one shot at each hole.
Yeah, if you don't make the shot, the ball just kind of goes to a stop and then disappears into the ether.
Yeah, so if you're trying to get the achievement, you can save right beforehand, and you can save at the halfway mark at the after the 9th hole.
I feel like getting the achievement in this case is very much role-playing the character in this route.
I got into it. I'll be honest. I tried for quite a while.
It's a fun little game though. It is. I would play like a phone version of that game.
I can't believe you streamed it for that long.
It's so annoying because I got all 18, but not in one shot. It killed me. There is a bug for anyone else looking at the achievement where if you quit the game entirely and come back, your halfway point save won't count toward the achievement.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
So you have to start over. You have to do it in one session. You can save scum, like Turbo was saying, but I loaded up on the bus. The halfway point happened to be, and I got, 7, and they're like, hey, you got 7 out of 18. I'm like, no, wait, I got 9 before that, but it doesn't count it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's like... So like I said, it's a little sloppy, and a lot of it is, you kind of have to get it, not frame perfect, but, it's a tight window, especially in the back half.
Yeah, back half is real rough.
Yeah. The final one is, there's a trick to it. It's a skull opening its mouth with bones crossing in front of it, like opening and closing the mouth. And you think you gotta hit the mouth, but your dad keeps powering through it, but if you go for the eye sockets, that wins it, and that's a lot easier.
I found that the harder one was the one with the with the tons of barriers where you had to get through there.
Yeah, how do you even do that? Is it just luck?
So, that one is about 10:30 or 1:30. There's a straight shot to the bank. I found that was the one that... It was still a little luck, but, that's the one that most likely got me. Because there's, the way the physics work is it's, going downhill, and you can just have it roll to the hole as long as you have enough power and it doesn't run out and poof away.
Oh, it's Plinko. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it's Plinko.
Yeah, I got that one by pure luck.
Some of them, yeah. And, there's a skull one that you have to get the hole. And that one is, that's really, that's my tough. That's one of my tough. The most skull ones are my, banes. I've gotten them both, just never on the same, run. But anyway, I'm sorry, I digress.
So, one thing that is interesting about this game is that you can, it was made in Unity rather than Ren'Py, as we've mentioned a couple times before, which makes it easier to add in minigames like this and the other ones, which I think in other episodes I might have criticized them to be like, oh, why'd they do this in Ren'Py? But as I was doing it, it clicked, I guess.
Yeah, it's certainly can't make 3D minigames in Ren'Py. And the Shrine of the Silver Monkey minigame from Damien's route, I think, justifies every creative decision that they made in this game. So let's see, where are we? So I guess win or lose, Amanda leaves with Daisy to do some actual babysitting, which makes sense, and we hang out with Brian at the bar at the putt-putt course, and the idea of a putt-putt course having a bar is, hilarious to me. I know there are, modern, urban putt-putt places that, are for hipsters and millennials and such, and they are, but, there's a putt-putt place near my house, and it has snow cones and go-karts and a batting range and no alcohol within several miles.
Yeah. This one's rad though. It has a tiki bar.
Yeah, it sounds cool as hell.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that it's like kind of pirate themed and island tiki stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if this is based on, if this was where they got the idea, but there is one of these in Brooklyn. There's a pirate-themed mini golf with alcohol.
I want to go.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Speaking of like recreational places that should have alcohol, I want a laser tag place with alcohol.
Absolutely not. You will die.
That's the point.
You will break your neck and die.
Just come to the South. All we have here is things that involve alcohol. Every single thing.
But, like, putt-putt should have alcohol because real golf has alcohol. So, like, it makes so much sense. So we talk with Brian at the bar. He orders pineapple drinks for us, and like he's trying to be like nice. Like it's definitely like everything is like you could either take it as like him trying to be friendly or him trying to be competitive. Like everything, I think that at least that part, like they do a really good job of leaving it sort of ambiguous. Where like it's like laid at your feet to take it personally, which our character does, and but we also learn a little bit more about Brian as a person. The reason why he has like, you know, a nice house, a nice lawn, everything like that is because he's a contractor. And of course he does. And we are watching TV at the bar, and there's some home improvement reality show about decks, and he's like, I don't like those kind of shows because they claim that it takes like 2 days, but to actually redo a deck like that would take several weeks. And so he's a little bit like Daisy in that way. Can't sort of like suspend disbelief for that because he knows that it's really not like that.
Yeah, he doesn't like fake things. He likes real things.
Yeah, and he likes, you know, outdoors, and he said he really likes his job, and he talks about, like, there's, like, little details, like, that he likes his job and that he takes after his father, who was also a general contractor, which, like, characterize what kind of person he is, but don't have anything to do with the story, which I really enjoy, that, like, that it's not just, like, this is an important plot detail that'll come up later. It's just, like, this is what kind of person he is. Let's see. He tells us, we talk about Daisy, we talk about the dog, and we're like, show us them dog pics.
Yep.
We look at dog pics, and it's Maxwell's very cute dog. And then Brian talks about fishing, and he tells us a fish story about how he almost caught a fish, like a really big fish, while his friends were asleep, what sounds like before Daisy was born. And it's like a real old man in the sea type sound and story where like, oh, he almost made it, but then he didn't and lost the fish. Yeah. And then our character makes a decision where we're getting worked up about Brian talking about things that he's good at, and we're mad that he's better than us at stuff. And we decide that we're going to tell Brian that we're a really great fisherman, that no one can outfish us. And Brian's like, that's great. Like, we should go fishing. This will be super fun. I love fishing. Except we hate fishing, don't know anything about it, and maybe kind of have a complex about it.
Yeah, this goes into territory that I didn't expect this game to go into.
No.
Yeah, right? So, yeah, because we have a dream sequence, right? Or we're like, no, wait, we have to, I'm sorry, wait, I might be jumping around a little because I did this all in one shot, but,
No, we do have, this is what we got right into, yep.
Yeah. So then, yeah, date 2, we're gonna go. We have to get up early in the morning to meet Brian and Daisy. Amanda agrees to go with us because Maxwell, his dog, is coming, and she loves the dog, like anyone would love a corgi, like that. And as we're laying in bed, we can't sleep, and we think about fishing with our father, and how that didn't go so well. And there's a dream sequence. Our dad is not pictured. A young us is not pictured. We're just at a lake. I kind of forget, like, I think we're trying to put bait on, and our dad is, like, mad at us, and, like, no, not that bait, the other bait.
The wrong lure, yeah.
There's a thing where, like, first we can't fall asleep, and we think about the time where we went to fish with our dad, and, like, all he did was, like, sit there in silence as, like, the lake heated up, and we didn't catch fish, and he drank beers, and then he bought us a pack of cigarettes on the ride home, but he never smiled.
It didn't say anything. Yeah.
He didn't say anything. It's just such a weird... What?
It's so specific.
Like, the way they frame it is like... They just, like, his dad just woke him up and took him somewhere, and he didn't really even know what was going on. And it's just... It's weird. It goes to a weird place.
It's so specific.
And then immediately after that, we get this dream sequence where, like... You know, we can't figure out how to bait this hook, and like our dad is just staring at us in disappointment, and then a fish swims up with Brian's eyes. It's just so weird.
I loved that.
Oh yeah, we fell in the water, and there's all these fish under the boat, like where we could have caught, and then yeah.
I love the scenery, the background that was drawing, the little ambiance of music that was doing this. This was like a great characterization moment, I think, for the dad in Dream Daddy, and then it just sort of like it ends with a sort of I guess a joke a little bit, and I was like, no, that was like really good. Why didn't you?
Yeah, keep going that way.
That's the thing. Yeah, if it had gone someplace, it would have been great, but it didn't, so it was weird.
Because this is like, it's a very real kind of, not like fear, but like that anxiety of, you know, I don't know if, you know, you guys were close with any of your parents, but it's like you don't want to disappoint them, and you don't want to make them mad, you know.
It's a super relatable, yeah.
Even when you're doing things that are supposed to be like a bonding kind of thing.
And also, like, it's a good piece of characterization. Like, it's definitely, like, a relatable thing. It sets up, like, our character as, like, a very specific kind of, like, insecure comedian. And that's great. Like, within this route, I think that's cool to have that characterization. I like playing as, like, more of a full person. Nothing like that happens in any other route that we've played so far.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, totally.
I would almost be tempted to think that this is, like, a timeline-specific event from our past, that, like, other route dads didn't have that happen.
Didn't have this problem.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have any, like, real evidence that outside of the fact that our dad is acting very overcompensating and competitive this route specifically. Yeah. Almost every other route, our dad's almost like the therapist for the other dad, or maybe not therapist, but like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the emotionally mature.
Imagine if this timeline dad had dated the other dads, where it's like, he goes to see Joseph, and it's like, oh, you like that god, huh? Well, I bet I can say more Hail Marys than you can.
This dad would have died on Craig's route. Straight up. Would have been.
Yeah. Like, our ending would have just been us in the hospital, like, overexhaustion, dehydration.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I don't like about dating games in general, is this unfortunate tendency where if you change the main character too much based on who you choose to date, then it makes it very insincere. Because it feels like, well, this guy is just like whoever he needs to be for whatever character this is. That's not fun. And I don't feel like I have control over it. Like, because it would be different if it was like, well, I'm like this, so I'm making my character behave like this to, like, establish his personality independent of who I date.
Right.
But this is more like who you date and what your character's personality is are matched.
I hear you. Or even in, like... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, even in, like, a game where you are playing a more established character, you can even kind of go, alright, I can get the feeling of this person, I can roll with this. But yeah, I feel like having different character, it's like, alright, well, I guess anything goes, forget it. You know, like, it's harder to do, like, to get into that, like, part of it.
But then again, there's hints of this in the other routes, where we're at the bake sale with Joseph, and it's like every time we see Brian, we just have this thing that goes off. Like, I don't know.
Really? Yeah, so here's the thing. It does happen. You're right. But I would say in the other routes, it's a little more of a jokey competitive thing, and it almost feels like he had instigated it. Like, we're not out and out lying, like, I can eat 20 cookies. The lying is where it gets...
The lying, the escalation, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, no, I've caught fish. No, I've done 18 holes of bowls. It's like, whoa, that's where it's like, it comes out away from like, oh, that Brian, I'll get him, into like, I'm really insecure. Like, I can't let this, I just can't. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like even the Pokemon thing, it is kind of a thing. Sometimes there are just like, people like that who are just like, and especially the whole like, there's like a joke here because it's like, you want to brag about your kids or whatever, you know? I mean, I'm not there yet, but I'm assuming I'll get there at some point, you know? Mm-hmm. So, it's like, but yeah, here I feel like it's gone to another level. So I do hear you, but I felt like in other routes, I didn't get it because it felt much more like a friendly thing.
Yeah, it's like maybe in this one it's more blatant because instead of just that initial contact, we have the continued exposure, which I guess something in Brian is setting us off.
Yep.
I even wrote down the line, you gotta use a neutral buoyancy lure if you want to catch trout, because I thought later it might be important in the minigame or whatever, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I just wish there was a payoff.
What, you thought this was like a vision?
Yeah, I thought it was foreshadowing.
I was there with you. I was using a walkthrough, so I didn't write it down, but I was like, I bet you anything this comes up.
Swing away.
Yeah, exact, yeah. So, we get there. We've driven there, and we're an hour away. Amanda and Daisy decide they want to go hunt bugs in the forest, look for cool bugs. And then, which, by the way, I will say one of my nieces likes to do with my daughter. But anyway.
Daisy is like, I think fishing is inhumane. I don't want to fish, which is funny.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. That's right. I forgot about that.
It is such a 10-year-old statement from someone who's getting influenced by an 18-year-old. Where, like, you know, like, the Brian, like, doesn't say anything, but he's like, but this was our thing.
Yeah.
But now it's our thing, Brian. And, we're out in the boat. And we're gonna fish, and we have to play a fishing mini game, where it's a match 3 game. I kinda don't like it, mostly because after every time you shift a fish, Brian has a dialogue choice, which means if you want to shift fish a few times over, you move the cursor, you hit the button to say, I want to move this fish, you move the fish, Brian says something, you hit a button to dismiss that. That last part of it happens every fucking time.
Oh, like if you don't get a match?
Yeah, because you can shift fishes to get bigger matches, which is how you get the higher scores. But yeah, you got to go through this annoying thing where he's like, this is such and such a fish.
I play too much Bejeweled, so I didn't make a move unless it was to get a match.
Yeah, same.
I did it accidentally, and that's how I figured it out.
Yeah.
I didn't make a move until it matched 4. I'm sorry, anyway, so,
I just thought it was so funny, like, it's not Bejeweled, folks. It's a different game.
Right.
Bejeweled is the only one I know.
It is kind of Bejeweled, though, because it does, like, the big combos get you the rainbow trouts, and then if you match those up, you get the bonuses.
Yeah.
It's more Pokemon Puzzle League.
Oh, yeah.
It's a match 3.
Okay, so...
Match 3, literally the most played game on Earth.
So, but before we get through that though, so like before that we have to like set up the fishing. We're like on the boat with Brian, and like he hands us a life jacket before we get on the boat, and we're like, nah, I'm gonna rely on you to save me, which was like a fucking weird thing to say to someone. But we're not wearing a life vest. We're sitting there on the boat with him.
It would have been, like, a lot, like, flirtier or cuter, I think, if you'd worn the life vest. Like, if you're not, like, actually, like, I'm hoping you sit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I could almost, it's still a little forward, don't get me wrong, but, like, I could buy that until it's, like, you know, really.
Maybe the water's only, like, 10 feet deep. Probably, right?
Well, Brian puts one on, and the dog puts one on. Why? At that point, you just feel like, whoa. But at that point, you're going to be like, well, you know what? Everybody else is wearing one. I might as well wear one.
Yeah.
But you're like, nope.
But so we're like setting up, like we lie and we're like, oh, my fishing rod's in the shop, so I don't have it. And he's like, oh, you can borrow mine. And he like brought enough for everything. Like he doesn't expect us to have brought anything. and yet somehow we continue to lie. Like, he knows immediately. Like, he never does not know. But we are like, no, oh yeah, sure. Like, let me just, bait the hook, and we, hurt ourselves, and then we cast the line, and we lose the lure, and it just goes off into space. Even though we're doing all this, we also agree that we're gonna bet our weed whacker, and he's betting his pole saw, which I know, like, so well what a pole saw is, but in my mind I have no idea what it's called. It's
like a chain halberd, I think they call it.
See, if it was called that, I would remember.
Right, yeah. No,
And, so yeah, Brian is obviously on to us. Like, it's impossible for him not to be, but we're still like, no, I gotta show him that I know about fishing.
Yeah, and I feel like, though, this bet is over the line, because, like, I know it's kind of I know it's like a joke about dads and power tools, but, like, internally we're like, whoa, this is like a limited edition kind of thing that we're betting or trying to win. There's like, it's made out to be more than it is. And I know it's supposed to like kind of stuff that it's not, you know, it's like a kind of a joke because it's like dads and power tools, but like, it feels like way more than a gentleman's bet. This feels like a little.
I mean, it sounds like those tools are like several $100s, which is a lot for a bet.
Yeah.
Well, ours in specific is, like, important to us. Like, he even says, it's like, oh, that's a cherished item, but I just can't let this go.
I mean, alright, to be totally fair, Googling it, I mean, I have a weed whacker and it wasn't that much. Like, it's like 100 or so, like 100 to 200, depending on how good it is.
Yeah,
and
but a limited edition, like, super fancy one is probably at least like $200 or $300.
Yeah. Well, you know what, though? Even if it was just, like, let's say 60 to 100, that's still, maybe 100. That's, like, still a lot for.
Yeah, it's still a bet that I wouldn't really
still a lot.
take.
Yeah.
Yeah, for, like, a person you just met, like, third time you met them, you know?
Yeah.
That's just, it's like one of those things where if you won the bet, you would kind of be socially obligated to be like, you don't have to really give me your pole saw. Or, like, you know what I mean? Like, that. Yeah, you couldn't accept that. But, like, what's kind of shitty is it feels like your character is all in on this. You know, like, I can just taste that pole saw or whatever.
They're like, oh, I don't want to give up my weed whacker, but man, that pole saw.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. It just, this is where, you feel like you're a bucket of crap. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's almost like part of the allure is taking away Brian's favorite thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just a shitty thing to do.
Which is not in line with our character.
It's not enough to win. Others must lose.
Yeah, we're not like that in other routes.
Brian, now, even though, if you win the minigame, because I did again, and I didn't even do that well, this is like a super easy one. Or, not easy, but it's like, the bar for winning is really low, I guess. Because I actually did pretty poorly on it, truthfully, but I guess well enough that the game's like, hey, you won. But Brian catches a bunch of fish, but we catch one big one that he helps us get, and then it capsizes the boat, and we're like, does that count? Yeah, I guess so, but, like, we do agree, okay, this didn't count altogether. You know what I mean? So, we get back, we're all wet, Brian takes off his shirt. Oh, wait, Brian saves us, right?
Yeah, we fall in the water and he saves us.
Yeah. So, Brian's drying our clothes, takes his shirt off, we're staring, because he is strong, he's got a good back, you know? And we're kind of blushing, so we're into Brian, even though we're a jerk to him.
We won't admit it to ourselves, but we are. We don't want to take our shirt off.
No.
Because we apparently never exercise, regardless of... All the body types you can pick from are nice looking.
Yeah.
Like, so it's funny that we're like, oh, I never exercise or do anything or take care of my horrible body, because it's like, that's not what I picked.
Yeah. Also, like, yeah, there's either, like, super skinny but ripped dad, there's, like, muscly and ripped dad, and then there's, like, large, like, Brian-sized dad, but also pretty friggin' strong.
Yeah. Like, there's no... Yeah. So, Amanda and Daisy come back, and, you know, and Brian catches more fish from shore, they're like, even we admit this is great fish. Everybody loves it. So we seem like we have a pretty nice time. And that's date 2.
And we're eating fish, fresh grilled fish with the girls, and they're like, why are you guys wet? Like, what happened? And Brian says that he tipped over the boat and that it was his mistake, and he covers for us, which, like, if we weren't convinced that Brian wasn't trying to be our friend, like, Brian's trying to be our friend, and that was the moment where it's like, you can't deny it anymore. Like, he's trying to be our friend. He might have problems with needing to always, like, prove himself, just kind of like we do, but he's trying to be our friend, and we, like, don't understand at all. And when we get home, Amanda keeps being like, why are you so fixated on one-upping this guy? Like, and she's like, it's clearly it's clearly our problem. Like, it's not Brian's problem, it's our problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Amanda's just like, I don't even have the time to explain to you what's going on here. I can't believe you don't realize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't believe it either, because, like, it's hard for me to believe that the person who raised Amanda would have such a difficult time realizing what's going on and like, having that moment of self-reflection. Even if we make that mistake, like, during mini golf, that should have been enough to kind of snap us out of it.
Here, especially here, yeah. Like, at the very minimum, Brian covering for you is that's the point of, like, I feel like narratively is the point where it's like, what have I been doing? And now date 3 is where we kind of, like, make up for it, and then we have the heart-to-heart with Brian. But that doesn't quite happen either. Because date 3, then, is not really a date with Brian per se. There's a fair going on, which is kind of funny, because, like, Amanda's like, you want to go to the fair? And you're like, what fair? She's like, the fair I brought cotton candy home from? The fair that's right side of our house? We just talked about this yesterday? That fair?
Realistic dad moment.
Yeah, and then she opens the curtain, and there's, like, a Ferris wheel outside. You're like,
oh, that
fair. Yeah. So, you go to the fair, and wonder of wonders, you run into Daisy and Brian, but it seems like Amanda and Daisy have, like, kind of, orchestrated this meeting.
Yeah, they set it up.
They parent trapped. This is a straight up parent trap.
They parent trapped. Yeah.
They did. In any other, like, situation, in any of the other routes, I would have said, oh, Amanda and Daisy are rooting for you and Brian to get together. Or you and the other dad. You know what I mean? Here, though, it seemed just more like they want you to work out this problem, which you don't do because, of course, you start competing with Brian over winning things for your daughters, and they both kind of eye roll, and they're like, all right, we're only going to play a couple of games. Becomes a whole big thing. But then there's one stand where they give away goldfish, and it's skee-ball, and you have to play Brian in a game of skee-ball, and somehow there's just an understanding of whoever wins this is the ultimate dad.
Goldfish. Goldfish named the ultimate dad. How do we feel about skee-ball? I love skee-ball. Personally, in real life.
Skee-ball's fun.
Well, yeah. Who doesn't like skee-ball?
Oh, yeah. Oh, skee-ball's the best. I love skee-ball. God, it's the only reason to go to Dave & Buster's.
I want to play it. Like, I played this and I was like, damn, where's the nearest skee-ball to my physical location right now? Because I forgot how fun it is.
It was so much fun.
It seemed like I got pretty lucky on this minigame, but I feel like it seemed pretty tough, because, like, Brian's score was, like, kind of keeping with mine. Like, I don't know, like, you get into a groove, I guess, but did anybody have trouble with it, or was this an easy one?
So I was doing alright with it, and then I found out that you can just keep spamming the button and throw as many as you want, and you just get a shitload of points, and, like, half of them go into the 100 points, because those are in the top corners, and it'll randomly start you out with on either the left or the right side, and sometimes with
full power.
Yeah, full power.
Yeah. Yeah, the first time I tried it, I got, like, A ranked, and then the second time I just started hitting the button a lot more, and I did the same thing Turbo did.
And so Brian, you can see him on the left, him getting his score, and the balls come down for him, and I think they come down at a rate for which, however much you click, but he only throws them at a fixed rate, so all the by the end of it, it was like glitching out for how many balls were on the side of his, ready to be thrown.
Oh no. That's great. So we win. We win the fish. And we give the fish to Amanda. We like get down on one knee and we're like, Amanda, what will you name your new fish that you love? And she says, Brian.
That's
also, Daisy and Amanda are the best and I love them. This is great. Daisy and Amanda are great. Like them, like Amanda, like this is very clearly like mostly Amanda's idea, and like the way that Daisy copies Amanda is really great. Oh, they're precious. I just want them. Like I just want a scenario where Amanda's babysitting Daisy and like teaches her important life lessons.
Season 2 of Life is Strange.
One thing I should just very briefly mention, I feel like just from reading the walkthrough that you, by the way, just as a side note, you can lose all the minigames, it seems like, and still, like, win the route, maybe? I don't know if you S-rank.
The rules are made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah, so when I was looking up the how to do the minigame, or for the mini golf, it seemed like a lot of people were having a lot of trouble, and I even saw some pictures that where the holes were a little bit harder. So it seems like they patched a couple things to make it easier. So maybe when they wrote the guides that, you know, failing was more likely of an option. But now it's like super easy to not.
Right.
Yeah, the first time I finished the game, I went back and replayed the last date, like I said, to get the skee-ball. But I got an A rank, but still got all the bonuses, like the picture and stuff. Like, it was not dependent on getting the S rank on the last date, because, like, apparently because of the mini games determines your outcome. So, yeah, they're pretty loose on this route.
So, what happens then is, like, they name the fish Brian, and they decide, let's go on carnival rides. And, of course, we're like, I don't really like carnival rides. But Brian's like, I love carnival rides. And we're like, I love them too.
Why are we no fun? The dad and the other routes would definitely love carnival rides. Like, he would love them, and they would also still make him throw up, but he would love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carnival rides and too much snacks.
So we go on the Ferris wheel, and wonder of wonders, Amanda and Daisy decide they don't want to go on the Ferris wheel, so we're alone with Brian.
Extremely Parent Trap.
Yes, and the game doesn't explicitly say this, but I feel like Daisy and Amanda orchestrated this, because once we get to the top, the Ferris wheel stops. And also, on the way up, it's really fucking awkward, because, like, we don't say anything to Brian. We just sit there with our arms crossed. He offers us fruit leather when he hears our stomach rumble. We refuse, this is, like, so odd for a third date in this game. And we just pull out our word jumbles, and then he pulls out crosswords. And it's like, wow, like, we really don't like Brian, even though we, like, love him or something.
And we get mad at him for pulling out a pen to do his crossword. And we get so mad that he does crosswords in pen, we throw our word jumble off of the Ferris wheel car. And he's like, oh no, we can get that when we get back down. Like, he's trying so hard to be nice, and we, like, cannot.
Yeah. So finally he's like, why do you hate me? And you're like, hate? You know, we're like, hate you? I don't hate you. It's just you always try to one-up me. And he's like, you always try to one-up me. And then I guess, like, we talk about how insecure we are and things like. It's like the heart-to-heart. Oh, you can be honest with yourself, or you can be honest with him, or you can be an asshole. Which the right answer is to be honest with yourself.
And being an asshole we'll go into this just real quick. Being an asshole, you attempt to punch him, and he goes out of... You're basically like, Brian, I can't believe this, and you're like, I can't believe that you think I would fall for that shit, basically. And you try and punch him, and Brian gets out of the way, and you fall off the Ferris wheel, and you get another death ending.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually... this. I mean, I guess all the death endings are a little bit dark in way that they write it, because, like, they describe your broken, mangled body on the ground and how your last thoughts go to Amanda and wondering how, you know, what kind of woman she'll be when she grows up.
Yeah.
And then it greets you with the screen that says, where is it? It has a pun on it.
I see it. You died, pride goeth before a fall. Fair warning. Fair warning.
Yeah.
Pride goeth.
Oh my god.
That's kind of odd.
But yeah, Brian is just like so I think this is like a good dialogue moment, even though it's weird that this is happening, because we're like, you're always trying to do like one up us, and he like is like, I'm not doing it on purpose, like, you know, like in this very like, yeah. I'm also insecure. And he's like, I just wanted you to like me. And the more, and also like, just like we could never impress our dad, like the more that we kept being mad at Brian, like the harder he was trying to impress us. Like, we've become our father.
Yeah, and see, like, I think that's a really important point, which is like, we don't, like, they don't actually bring that in, which I think they should have at least alluded to it. Because, like we are acting like a child. Like, straight up, like, when we throw our word jumble all the way out of the Ferris wheel car, we are straight up acting like a child. And I guess it would make more sense if we were like, oh, we're sort of replaying an emotional situation that we had with our dad, and we're taking it out on Brian, which is not good, but is sort of an explanation of what's going on. And instead, I guess it's just implied, but never sort of brought up again.
Yeah. And that's a shame, because it's an interesting story. Like, it doesn't really mesh with the rest of the game, obviously, but it's an interesting story about, like, two insecure people trying to have a relationship, and, like, in this specific way. It's really, if we were more of a developed character, it would be interesting, more interesting, but it is weird that that our character is so developed in this one route and not the other ones. And in my notes I wrote, Brian just wanted us to like him. No, you're crying. And,
I mean, I like that they kind of allude to this back when Amanda and Daisy have set this up. There's this conversation that we have in our house where Amanda's kind of like, you know, you need to, like, talk to each other. You know, we can't have this back and forth, you talking about him talking about you. And our dad is like immediate, oh, he talks about me? What does he say? And I'm thinking that kind of implies that, yeah, Daisy has probably talked to Amanda about it. And Brian is probably, like, where our issue is, like, this guy, he sucks, he's trying to one-up me, he thinks he's so full of himself. Whereas Brian's, like, probably at home talking to his daughter. It's like, I don't know why this guy hates me. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we agree to start over with Brian, and we shake hands. And just as we do that, the Ferris wheel is working again. There's like a joke about a raccoon or something like that in the Ferris wheel, whatever. And we come off the Ferris wheel, and we feel like, okay, we're friends. We work through our differences. And Amanda and Daisy don't care about that anymore because they've lost Brian the fish on the log flume ride.
And there's like a running gag, which is a little much. I usually really love the humor in this game, but it's like we lost Brian on the log flume. Like, no, he's right here on the first field. Brian the fish. Oh, but that like kind of keeps going, and it's like, all right. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked it the first couple of times, but it gets a bit of a workout for the short time it's there.
And we admit to Brian that that we're afraid of the ride, instead of saying, oh yeah, I love rides. Like, it's like, no, I'm really bad at this, actually. I'm bad and I'm scared.
Yeah. And he's like, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna work together to get that fish. And you both go on the log flume. I don't know why. Well, okay, I know why. But, and then there's a point where you can get Brian the fish, but, you know, Brian, the person, can't reach Brian the fish. You're gonna have to fish for Brian the fish to save Brian the fish. And you go back to the match 3 game from before, only there's nothing to match except for exactly one row of things.
Yeah, it's a match 1 game.
Yeah, so you move the 1 to do it, and you've done it, and you've saved Brian the fish. And there is a very funny scene then when you get at the bottom and the fair guy's like, hey, you're not allowed to, like, fish. It's like, look, pal, we had to save this fish, and you go into this thing, and he goes, look, I don't care. Just the thing closes in 10 minutes. Just get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So, because this was a minigame that they did actually throw you into with the match one, and there was a timer with it, I was wondering if you could fail it, so I did actually just let the time run out to see what would happen. It's the same. It says you get it.
Oh. So you just can't lose this?
Yeah. And it's funny, though, you can actually, like, you can completely play it wrong, too, because as I'm running out the clock, I separated all the fishes, and it plays it like you did a wrong move, so Brian criticizes you again, and also tells you random fish facts.
It's so weird.
Yeah. But, so we worked together, we saved the fish, but Brian's like, I feel like, though, there's something unresolved, don't you? Like, we didn't quite suss everything out. I forget how he puts it exactly.
Well, we watched the fireworks.
Well, the kids head home and we watch fireworks together, yeah.
That's right. And, yeah, then he's like, yeah, I feel like there's something we didn't quite work out. I'm like, what do you mean, Brian? And then you kiss.
Well, you realize first that jealousy was, and then it's implied that, that was actually deeper feelings that you had for Brian.
I don't feel that at all.
No, I thought the jealousy was unresolved issues with your dad, but that was just me.
I thought the jealousy was just you're a jerk.
I felt like in the beginning or the part in Dick 2 where Brian's got his shirt off and stuff, we feel conflicted because we're so competitive with Brian, but we also have a thing for him. But then, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's like you're not good enough.
Yeah, I get the sexual tension. Like, I mean, you talk about like two guys who are always fighting. Like, my yaoi instincts kick in, and I'm like, okay, like there's obviously something going on here. So I can see how but I feel like it's also like very abrupt to bring it up like right after you're just friends. Like I almost feel like they should have not even brought it up until the graduation party to like give it a little bit more time to kind of like be friends for a while for real this time.
I also feel like if I'm Brian and I'm into our dad and our dad's like, I'm glad we worked this out, we're just friends, like now I'm like, oh, that's a sign I was kind of misreading this. You know what I mean? Like that's, I don't know, like
yeah. And I think it's so much the idea of this being with two older, more mature people, like the whole holy crap we're fighting. Oh my God, no, we are actually really turned on right now. That's like a younger person's thing.
Yeah, that's a young man's game.
It is. Making that jump straight into the sack is not something you do when you are older. That's something like, okay, hold on. I got to make sure I maintain, I got my daughters to think about. I can't screw with their stuff. I got to make sure I maintain these social relationships. I can't just, make that play when I have responsibilities.
Take it from us, the old people official novel book club.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. So, like, I guess, well, then we have, of course, the going away party for Amanda. She's still playing with Daisy, and then we meet Brian, and now we're doing a thing with Brian. It's like, well, you de-ice your driveway better than me. No, you do this better than I do and stuff. But at the end, you decide we'll have a cuddle contest. And everybody's happy, and that's that Dream Daddy route. I think ultimately, I didn't dislike the route per se, but it certainly wasn't one of the stronger ones.
It was like its own thing.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but I still like it because it deals with like very like real, relatable kind of problems, like with inadequacy and like just that fear of, something's wrong and I don't know, I don't understand, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I really like that our character was more of a more of a fully realized character in this, but it's just weird that it wasn't present in the other routes. I like this story of these two characters who are flawed in sort of in ways that like make it difficult for them to understand each other. And that's very cool, and I like that. I like that story. But it is sort of, it almost feels like either it was like written first or like separate or something like that, and then sort of like had to be integrated into the rest of the game once they had more of an idea of what kind of game they were gonna make. Because like when you compare it to like Matt or Craig. I mean, it's just in a totally different place where, so many of the other routes are about someone sort of opening up their interests to you and you, like, helping them and not being judgmental and, like, it's just a totally different feeling. But the story itself of dealing with insecurity, I think is an interesting story that's worth telling. So it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to land on, like, whether it's good or bad. It's good on its own. It's weird in the context of the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the best games, though, and a bunch of them, so that was fun.
Yeah, it's got a ton of minigames and the best ones. Maybe not as good as the one where you're on the dance floor, though. Trying to get through the crowd.
That's still probably my favorite.
Yeah, with such a good song, too. I think if I was going to rewrite this route, I would have made the Brian taking the fall and the second date be more of the moment where we sort of reconcile, and then have the third date be more about, like, okay, I like him. I'm gonna have fun, like, with Brian because we're friends now, and then sort of being forced to balance, like, I know I'm not supposed to be like this, but I can't help myself from being like this.
I feel like generally the third date's usually a turning point date where, like, we say to, all right, Hugo, you like wrestling? I'm taking you wrestling. And it's a surprise. Or, like, isn't there something with Damien that I'm forgetting?
Well, I mean, he lets us see his normal self.
Right. Yeah, but, like, I feel like usually we do, like, a clever thing, or we go camping with Craig to, like, get him out of his, like, stress level zone and, like, no phones and everything, you know. It's usually that. Not Joseph, but whatever. But here, it's kind of like Amanda and I was about to say Diane. I don't know. I can't.
Daisy.
Daisy.
Hi, Daisy.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. They're, like, trying to, like, they're orchestrating it, and it still doesn't really work out, and it finally takes Brian to be like, what's going on, dude? And you're like, you're right, Brian. It's, you know, and it's just like, it's just odd.
Yeah, like, I feel if I were doing it, then, like, if you're gonna touch on issues where you have issues with your parents or, like, inadequacy or stuff, I mean, go for it. Go all the way. Like, make the second date be the one where we realize something is wrong, and then make the third one be like, you know, I had these problems, I have issues with disappointing people or doing things.
And Brian talks about his own father, and I feel like there's a conversation that's missing from this where they both talk about their relationships with their fathers.
Yeah. There's a lot of different... Or, you know what? How about Brian gives you the long saw, the pull saw, and then you feel bad about it, and date 3 involves returning it?
Yeah. Oh my god, that would be... Yeah.
Yeah, or you're like, you know, like, it's just eating away. Like, you're like, I really love this new pull saw, but there's something about it. And then you realize, like, I shouldn't have taken this. I took this way too far.
Or, like, you bring it home and Amanda sees you with it. It's like, oh, you didn't. It's like, well, I won the bait. It's like, Dad, what are you doing?
Right. And you ignore her at first, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, she doesn't understand. Because that's the way we keep putting Amanda off in this, too. It's like, you don't get it.
It's
you know,
a dad
you don't
thing.
Understand. Yeah, it's a dad thing. And it's like, and she does get it. And it's an us thing, really. And then, like, yeah.
And then we have that moment where Amanda's like, Dad, you're being a jackass.
Move aside, Dream Daddy writers. We got it. No, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's not, like, bad enough where I'd say it was a bad route at all. Like, it had some funny writing. It was just, like, it was one of those, like, could have been better. Solid B-.
Well, I give it a B+.
Yeah, I feel like it tried to address something that was really cool and interesting and worthwhile, but it just doesn't mesh with the larger game. But, like, I love the story of, like, I feel like I haven't seen that story in a dating game, you know, of, like, I'm really insecure and competitive, and, like, he's really insecure also, and it makes him keep trying to prove himself to me, and, like, we talk about it as a real problem. Like, That's cool. I like that was a thing in the game and talked about, because it's a pretty relatable issue, even if you don't have exactly the same experience. It was very, it was cool that was in the game. It's kind of another one of those things where, like, I feel like this game has a couple of, like, big points that it's trying to make, especially considering the audience, which are, like, you know, people who watch Game Grumps. And it focuses on a lot of, like, tenets and, like positive lessons for sort of, like, the Let's Play community of, like, it's okay to like the things that you like. Like, people are insecure in different ways, and especially when you're talking about, like, being competitive in games and proving yourself and those kind of issues of masculinity, and, like, that you should be open and to bringing people into things that you like, and, like, not be afraid of not knowing anything or not wanting to exclude anyone. Like, all of these things are, like, parts of our community and, like, nice things to have in your game. And I'm glad they're in there, even if it doesn't, like, super make sense all the time.
Thanks, Game.
I like that their points they're making are, like, things that I can draw a parallel to within the gaming community. Like, that's a cool thing to put in, to have that parallel be there, to be like, well, it's a dating game, but, like, the things that we're gonna write about are the things that we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I want is that dream sequence just expanded out. Make that its own route.
Daddy's dream.
Oh my god.
Or each route you learn something about your own dream, your own dad.
In a dream, yep.
Yeah, like that would be a legitimate good ending.
And then the harem ending is your dad and you bang your way through Dream Dad. No, I'm kidding. That's terrible. That's actually an Arrested Development.
Double boost.
Yeah, that would be a good way of addressing bad parenting without having you be a bad parent.
Right. It's apparent that's the right way to go.
Hey, good night, folks. Next time, Robert's route.
Robert's route.
The last one.
Bad dad.
Hunting for cryptids. What's our sign off? I'm sorry, everyone.
We're sorry.